Hey everybody, Tom Greenwood here. This is Everyman Carpenter YouTube channel, and I told you I would get back with you when things were a little bit different in the shop. So I want to do a quick shop tour and talk about an approach I take when I'm building furniture and stuff like that. I think I've talked about it a little bit in the past when I was in the old shop, but I want to show it a little bit more today. So anyway, recent shop upgrades. So we have here our trusty Delta table saw. We have our planer and our jointer. But the cool thing is that we have air that goes up, actually not air, a vacuum that goes up into this room where we have our dust collector, and it's all dog housed in there and run on its own circuit. That's super duper neat. And these, as you can see, this is not how pros would do it, but this is how I did it. We ran power down, got plugs in here and in here. So what that does is it eliminates what I was doing on my last piece of furniture that I was building in, where I had to run an extension cord over from my dust collector and an extension cord over for whatever tool I was using, and then move the dust collector from port to port to port to port wherever I needed it. Now I can just use this thing, which is a blast gate, pull it up, boom, chips come in and go to our dust collector, bring it down, and it goes to a different place, whether it's the table saw or the jointer. So this gives me a cool table that I can outfeed if I'm using the table saw, outfeed if I'm using the planer or the jointer, and it saves a lot of time, and it's kind of self-contained. And it is the difference between, for me, the difference between like a workspace and a shop. Like a shop has all these things where we have organization going on, where we have centralized dust collection and then stuff like that. So anyway, that's an upgrade that we have at the shop that I'm pretty happy about, that we got in this week. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about is this plywood here. So I'm building a bookcase, a built-in bookcase that'll be 110 inches long and about 8 feet tall. And I'm building it out of hard maple. But before I do it, I'm building a prototype. So I build the prototype because, one, the drawings don't convey the feeling of it, and I don't want my clients to spend what I would consider a serious amount of money on a custom build-in and then be like, ugh, I don't like it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build an exact replica, but out of cheaper materials. Build it out of plywood, cheap pine plywood. Is cheap plywood even a thing anymore? Out of cheap pine, 2x8s and 4x8 sheets of plywood. I was able to get some ACX. It was on sale, so it was like $10 more for a sheet for ACX than it was for the cheap 3/4 sheathing. So I have it, but what I have is I have it clamped down in six points. And the reason I do that is because we don't have like central air. We have this forced air unit, and what it does is we get weird temperature fluctuations in the space, and also the humidity is not the same as the store. So even though I can circulate the air and keep it kind of an ambient temperature, what will happen is the temperature and the humidity will cause the stuff to warp if I don't clamp it down. So while the sheet goods are sitting here waiting for me to cut them into smaller pieces, I keep them clamped down, and at the end of the night, I take all the pieces that I've cut out and I clamp them down and put pressure on them so they don't bow and warp. And what this does is it makes, when I put everything together, it makes it a whole lot easier. So that's really super important. In that same vein, over here, I have 2x8x10s that I got. These I'm going to mill down into my individual pieces for the face, but I have them clamped together in 3 places so that they won't, they are less likely to warp, bow, and crown and do all this weird stuff that wood does. That pine comes from the mill, and I don't know what the ambient humidity on it is. I have to get a humidity gauge as part of the upgrade of the shop. But its humidity is weird, and so that means as it dries out in this space, it will warp if I don't let it. But if I put clamps on it and put them all together, kind of the difference in the changes of the boards averages out, and it keeps them flat, so that when I do go mill it out to make my pieces, they are actually easier to work with, and I have less waste and less wasted time. So anyway, it's very important to try and let me take that back. It sucks when you go mill stuff out and then you come back to your shop and it's like moved and warped and it's not flat or straight anymore. So I go through a lot of effort because I don't have a perfectly temperature controlled, humidity controlled shop yet, that I keep that stuff as strapped down as possible so it doesn't move and it's easier to work with later on. Anyway, so that's like a little update on the shop. More things are coming. We'll talk about them as they come, but it's actually starting to feel like a real shop in here. It's not organized the way I want. It's not perfect, but it's better. And I've always talked about this, like when it comes to carpentry, and really I use carpentry as a life. When it comes to carpentry, you just start wherever you're at. If you have a hammer and a chisel, you can do carpentry. Hell, if you have a piece of wood and a rock, you can do carpentry. Taking any piece of wood and turning it into something useful or pretty or whatever it is, changing its state, is carpentry. And I want to be at a much higher level with nicer tools, more accurate tools, bigger space. I always want a better thing going on. But I had to start with where I was at. I had a space that was much smaller than this. A friend let me use it for years. Thank you very much. And then I've been able to come together with a few guys I know, and we've brought all our tools into a space, and I can actually come in here and do something approaching like real woodworking and proper cabinetry and things like that. I still don't have all the nice tools, but I have the ability to get close. You know what I mean? And with time and effort, I can actually get close. So anyway, start on your carpentry or start on your project. Start with what you have and work on it and do the best you can. And when you have the opportunity to get something better, get that something better. When it's upgrade a tool, upgrade a space, upgrade a skill set, if you can go get training or take classes, stuff like that, do it. But that iterative process of just getting a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. 10 years ago, I didn't have any of this stuff. And with fortune and persistence, I now have like a table saw and a joiner and a planer that are all hooked up to a central vacuum. I've got a chop saw that's very accurate. I have a whole bunch of tools that I can use, and I can do most of the stuff I want. From here on out, it's like the difference is just luxury, really. Anyway, that's just kind of where I'm at. That's what the state of Everyman Carpenter YouTube channel is, and that's what our shop looks like right now. So anyway, hope you guys are enjoying this end of winter, crazy hot, cold temperature. I hope tornadoes and wildfires aren't a thing in your life. And I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.